Hey guys, welcome back to Gap Gracepoint Online. Today's lesson is episode 3 of our Stand Up series, where we look in all situations and all places how God gives us the courage to stand up for what is right and what God asks us to do. Today's lesson is called Courageous Obedience, as we see how Daniel, in the time of Daniel in Babylon, had the courage to be obedient to God despite the threats and despite the things that were happening to him. Let's have a look at what today's lesson is all about. Do you remember that 2 weeks ago we spoke about Daniel and we saw that Daniel was a prophet that was taken from his hometown into a place called Babylon? Now, at that time when Daniel was taken to Babylon, there was a king called King Nebuchadnezzar. But in the meantime, from then up to today's lesson, that king had passed away and there was a new king in place called King Belshazzar. King Belshazzar did not believe in God and he believed in many other different idols. So at one point, he was having this big party, and the party was crazy. The people were having so much fun. They were eating, they were drinking, they were dancing, there was music, and then something happened. In the middle of this banquet, the king decided that he was going to do something that made our God, the God that we believe in, very angry. He said to his servants, "Bring the gold and silver goblets." Now, these were fancy cups that had been used for worship in the temple of the one true God, and they should have been kept in the temple. But remember that King Belshazzar did not believe in God, so he then called them to bring those goblets so that the party could continue with people drinking out of these fancy cups. He completely disrespected that it was used for worship for God. So suddenly something else happened. All of a sudden, everyone stopped talking, the laughing stopped, the singing stopped, the dancing stopped, the drinking stopped, the eating stopped, because everyone stopped to look at handwriting that was appearing on the wall. Suddenly, there were words that were written on the wall that had not been there before. No one was there writing the words, but the words appeared. The words were Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. Now, we don't understand what that means, but just hang on, we'll get to that. King Belshazzar was so scared, but he wasn't the only one who was frightened. Everyone was looking around, wondering, what does this mean? They could read the language, but they didn't understand. They didn't realize what the king had really done by ordering these goblets to be brought. The king also believed in many advisors, magicians, and astrologers who read the stars as a wisdom that would help him understand what was going on. Remember, he didn't believe in God. So he called for all of them to come to this banquet to be able to explain what is going on and what this handwriting on the wall meant. He also said that anyone who would be able to interpret this message would become rich and honored and would become the third most powerful ruler in the entire kingdom. Can you imagine how desperately each one of these magicians or advisors wanted to be able to explain what this meant? They wanted power. But each of them tried and they could not explain. They didn't understand because this was a message from the one true God. Suddenly the queen came in and she said, "Call the man Daniel." Now the queen had seen Daniel and how he had helped King Nebuchadnezzar. She knew that he was wise and that he understood many things about God and the wisdom that was needed in this situation. So the king agreed and Daniel was called. He was told he would be honored as the third most powerful ruler in the kingdom. But Daniel did not want this honor or these riches because he knew that this was a special gift that God had given to him so that he would be able to understand what this message meant. Daniel knew that this was a prophecy from God. Remember, a prophecy is a special message from God. Then Daniel continued on and he said this to the king. "And now, King Belshazzar, even though you knew this, you too have become proud. You took the goblets from God's house and used them to drink wine in honor of your gods made of wood and stone. He used these goblets to honor idols. You praised these false gods instead of praising the Lord God who gave you your kingdom and your power. That is the reason God sent this writing. The words that are written, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin, mean God has measured your life and you do not meet his standards. So your kingdom will be taken away and given to someone else." Imagine being the king and hearing this news. He was shocked, horrified, and terrified at what was going to happen. Daniel then explained that the kingdom of Babylon would be divided up and given to this country of Media and Persia. That very night, everything happened just as God had said it would happen. The kingdom was split up and was divided under the other kingdoms, and the kingdom of Babylon was no longer as it was earlier that day. God's message had come true as a warning for this king, but it was too late already. Because he had honored only those idols and not recognized the true worship of God, his kingdom was divided and he was no longer king. In our world today, people are known for lots of different things. Some children are known for their artistic ability, their horse riding skill, their sports ability, their academics. But most importantly, we need to be known for doing what is right and what God has called us to do. We are called to courageous obedience, which means that we need to obey God even when it's difficult. We need to stand up for what is right, even when it would be so much easier to do the wrong thing and just to go with the flow with what other people are doing. You see, God asks us to courageously obey Him day after day so that others can see through our love that we love God, and through our actions so that they would also want to obey God. Our memory verse for today comes from Proverbs 20 verse 11 in the TEV Bible. Even a child shows what he is by what he does. You can tell if he is honest and good. Each of us is seen who we believe in by what we do. So when people look at us, they need to be able to see that we believe in God and that we love God based on our actions and our love for God. That's it from us here today at Gap Grace Point Online. But remember to join us next week for the last episode of our Stand Up series, where we see finally how we are called to stand up for what God has asked us to do and to have the courage that God gives us to do the right thing. Remember, in the comments below, there's a link that you can click on which will take you to today's resource on our website. When you click on that and see the resource activity, you can do it to help you get into what today's lesson means for your life. That's it today, guys. Bye!